Well, you may not be able to go in, but hey, at least they moved the gift shop outside.
Baby, you're the one for me. Baby, you are meant for me. I'm madly in love with you. Baby, you're the one for me. Baby, you are.
Good morning, and welcome back to, I guess what's day 4 of the 80 and 8 in the 4th arrondissement today.
Wow.
Which is generally characterized as the Marais, but we are leaving the Marais right now, crossing the river into Notre Dame, the Quartier de Notre Dame, which you can guess what it's named after pretty easily. But there are 2 Notre Dames over here that we're going to talk about today as we wander all of Ile Saint-Louis and a little bit of Ile de la Cite. Ile Saint-Louis and about half or maybe just over half of Ile de la Cite are in the 4th, but then there's a section of Ile de la Cite which is in the 1st. And if you're not like, what the heck is Ile de la Cite? It's the big island right in the middle of town that all the government stuff is on and Notre Dame is on. Doesn't mean Notre Dame gets to own all of it. So today we're going to take a little bit of a wander. The nice thing is we don't have to worry about boundary streets today because the river is our boundary. So I thought I'd talk a little bit today about what the heck is the rive droite, rive gauche nonsense, as well as just tell you a little bit of the history of this tiny little island that we're on right now, and a little bit about Notre Dame and the bigger island that we'll head to in a minute. I'm here with my buddy Sam today too, and Sam, I'm going to give you the choice.
Me the choice between?
Do we start on the big island or the little island?
Start on the little island.
All right, well then
And
let's
work our way up towards the big church thing.
Sounds perfect.
Notre Dame.
The
Named
big
famously after the Disney movie from the 90s.
We'll take a walk through. We just crossed over on Pont Louis Philippe, which is named after the King Louis Philippe. All the bridges on this island are very important, but none of them are as old as Pont Neuf, which literally translates to the new bridge, which is the great irony of the oldest bridge in town. However, Pont Neuf is not in this arrondissement or this quarter, so we won't be talking about it or going to it today. That'll be saved for another video down the line. But the 2 islands have quite the history because this smaller island that we're on right now is now named Ile Saint-Louis, which is named after Louis IX, who became a saint. I think he was venerated like 20 years after he died, which is pretty fast. The dude is famous for making Sainte-Chapelle, which we're also not going to go visit today because it's also in the wrong quarter, and for a number of other pious deeds that he did, including bringing the crown of thorns into Paris, which was at Sainte-Chapelle, is now at Notre Dame. Well, was at Notre Dame. Then there was a fire, spoiler alert, and then they had to move it. But the smaller island that we're on now used to be 3 islands. I always thought it was 2 islands, but there are actually 3 islands, 2 of which were conjoined here, one of which got subsumed into the right bank later. The 2 islands were basically uninhabited, I think for most of their history. They would actually bring cows over onto them to graze, which I can imagine being a mild nightmare for whoever was running that boat. And then apparently they were court-ordered duels that would take place there too, because it was a safe place for guys to kill each other over whatever slight they'd received over time. So eventually in the 17th century it was seen as an opportunity for one of the first examples of urban planning. They're like, we can build this fresh from the ground up. And so they conjoined the 2 islets, made them into this island that we're on right now. And it was also a little bit of a tax haven. What is interesting, and what you'll see between the 2, this island still feels like 17th century architecture, more or less, because it was left alone when Haussmann, or Haussmann as the French say, came in and just plowed through all of the old medieval buildings like on Ile de la Cite. So those buildings, even though that island is older and has a much longer history, the buildings on it are generally much newer, much younger. In this island, everything is older despite the island's inhabitants, the population, whatever, being younger. You know what I mean. One other thing, you might be aware that you can actually go and sit on the river, but a lot of people don't realize that if you put a little extra effort in and you come over onto the islands and then go down and sit on the river, there are some benches. You can just sit on the edge, of course, but there's usually a lot less activity. There are a lot fewer people. So if you want a little bit of privacy, some quiet time with your friends, sit out, have a little picnic by the river, it is like an absolute must. You have to, especially, we're running out of time now. It's about to get too cold to do that, but during the summer, there's like no better place to grab a beer or some wine and sit on the river. As this was an island for rich people to hide their money and also just kind of hang out amongst themselves, a lot of these apartments used to be single houses that were later broken up into apartments. But can you imagine having all of this to yourself?
House of former President Tower, is that right?
The hotel, yeah, I think so. It's hard to know because the way they use the word hotel still confuses me.
Big building thing.
Yeah. Hotel doesn't necessarily mean that you can stay at a place. It can mean like that it's a mansion or that it's just a large building. Like Hotel de Ville is the city hall. It gets confusing. I'm still kind of confused by it. Yes, Sam.
We'll see the hospital as well, won't we? Which is this hotel.
Hotel Dieu, oui, yeah. So then a hospital called Hotel. It's a mess. The Englishman with his umbrella. So we're standing outside of Hotel de la Zune. I'm probably saying that wrong. Hotel de la Zune. That does look very closed. I think you're right. It does look like it's only open on Thursdays. I'm gonna try the knocker. Watch them like open a window and throw water out on us. That's what it looks like on the inside.
Wow, this is the best experience you can have.
Wow, we had a really nice time walking. Look at that building. Can you imagine that being your home? This isn't entirely true, but of all the houses that I want to have in Paris, I could go for this guy. Look at that. It's just this cute little house. Not bad. Okay, two things from here. One, there are parks on the eastern end of each island. This one is like a park. The other one is a memorial. I don't know if you call it a Holocaust memorial, but it's a World War II memorial for the deportation of the Jews. Of course, there's a siren right when I'm trying to talk. Give it a second. Since we walked on the inside, I think we could zig and zag our way back through, but I know that Sam wants to get some ice cream at Bertillon, which is the famous ice creamery here in the middle of the island. So we're gonna go check out this park really quickly, and you can see off the end of the island from it, and then we'll walk through, get some ice cream, and then make our way to Ile de la Cite, I think. And I'll show you one other really cool spot that's called Nos Ancestres les Gallois. Nos Ancestres les Gallois is a really fun spot. If you want to go, assuming that the post-COVID times ever come, it's like a mini buffet and everything's done in like old, like Gallic warrior. I've been once. It is a lot of fun, and I do recommend it. It's not going to be the best meal of your life, but it is going to be a worthwhile experience. So there's that and Bertillon, and then we're off to Ile de la Cite. I do like that mustache. Oh, both of them. They've got. Anyways, there's a bit of a playground here, and it looks off the end of the island, which is really nice. You can see the bridges down the way, as well as across the river into the 5th arrondissement, where we will be shortly. But until then, Antoine Louis Barry. How do you say that? Barry. Barry? I'll go for that. Antoine Barry.
Barry, maybe?
Barry. I'm struggling with the Y's because yesterday I was in Saint-Avoix, and I asked some French guys and they said that I was saying it right, but it also kind of looked like Saint-Avoy. It's hard to know for sure, and it's an Italian martyr, so who even knows? I don't know. Anyways, this is Barry Park. Okay, this explains the super hardcore lion in front and all these lions around it, and the sculpture on top with the dude on his horse. He was a romantic French sculptor, and the sculptures are nice.
Was there an English connection?
He was born in Paris, died in Paris. Yeah, no, he's just a really famous sculptor, and I learned something today. There you go. And his son Alfred became famous as well, for also sculpting.
Ah.
His son and student was the known sculptor Alfred Barry. Sorry guys, you can leave the comments on this, man. It is a really nice, quiet little park. It's not the nicest park. And obviously there's a lot of graffiti here, so if that turns you off, it turns you off. It doesn't really bother me, but it is a decent view out the back. I don't know, it is a nice place to escape a little bit. But if you go down along the back half of the river here, you can just hang out, and it is probably one of the more quiet spots to sit on the river that you'll find.
I love the way you squeeze, I love the way you tease, I love the way you kiss goodnight. Baby, you're the one for me. Baby, you are meant for me. I'm madly in love with you. Baby, you're the one for me. Baby, you are meant for me. I'm madly in love with you.
Just asked if we can go into this church, and it says in like literally every language that the church is open. Sorry, we're competing with like scooters and now crowds of children for noise. Alright, hats off. Oh, wow. Oh yeah, it's so nice and quiet in here. That is a vacuum, just in case you were curious what the jokes were about. Well, you can definitely tell that that was a wealthy church for all the paintings inside and all the gold. And you were saying it's famous for all the gold.
It's famous for the gold and the white. Yeah, I read somewhere that apparently it's famous for the white stone rather than just the gold. So white and gold being a thing.
It's nice. It's very nice inside. Where should we eat, by the way?
At a place that says food.
We were just talking about French food. I haven't eaten at very many places on the island. I wouldn't say this isn't going to be a spot that I normally recommend for food anyways, but I'm sure we'll find something. So pretty much anything is going to be fair game today. We've exhausted Ile Saint-Louis. It's nice to see an effigy of St. Louis so we can see what he looks like, as well as a nice sign from the city of St. Louis in the United States, written out in English for those of you who would rather read it in English. Anyways, this is Bertillon. This is where your ice cream is. This is the famous Bertillon spot. And there's no line because we're here earlier than most people would want to eat ice cream.
And it's a lockdown.
Do you want ice cream now or do you want to wait?
Wait, yeah.
Okay. Anyways, there's a nice little plaque in there from the city of St. Louis, who is named after St. Louis, St. Louis, the same guy that this island is named after. King of France, ninth King of France. Oh, look at that. Le Louis IX. Just in case you were confused, Louis IX. Okay, speaking of places that I've never eaten that I think would be good, we should do one on the corner at the very end of the island here, because we have a little bit of a view.
That was the last thing. I see it all the time.
All right, let's do that. And this is like a little village too, because there are no bus stops or metro stations here. Well, maybe there's one bus stop on the very tip of the island. So do you want to go to the blue place or do you want to go to the red place, which also actually serves Bertillon, so you could get your ice cream at the same time. It's hardcore street sweeping. What are they street sweeping? Alright, lunch was good. It was tasty, but now ice cream. Boss, they've got like a tea room. Felt like that. Oh no, here it is. They've got like a nice tea room as well. So Bertillon is like obviously the most famous ice cream in this city, and it's served everywhere on the island. But they have like a tea room you can go into, which is really nice. Let's find out. Oh, can we find out? Sure. And apparently you can't film in the tea room for some reason. Maybe they told me the next door that I was coming around. I don't know. But anyways, I wasn't knock against my book and people aren't filming friendly, but that's obvious just for me and my lifestyle. Anyways, Bertillon, it's not the oldest. They were founded like I think 1957. So they haven't even been around that long, although they look fancy and old. But you can buy them in any place on the island. Have you tried it yet?
No, I got your screen.
Oh, thanks. I'll give it a try. COVID friendly. Neither of us have touched it yet.
Exactly.
Oh, geez. Neither of us are going to be able to get... There we go. Perfect.
Right, very, very good.
Yeah, you like it?
It's super dark and rich and not too sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is good.
I like Italian gelato.
Yeah, I would generally say this is kind of a place you have to go just for the experience once. I never make the effort to come back here. There's better ice cream that I'll show you another time, but it's still good. Yeah, there's some really good spots in the Marais that are like really good, but it's really good. We have spent far more time on Ile Saint-Louis than I ever thought we would, and it's been glorious. But now we got to go to the bigger island. If I can get this on my face. As it were, as it said on the sign that we just read on the way in. I've actually never walked into this memorial before. I really want to go down there, but it's roped off.
This must be the actual monument down there.
Yeah.
Have a look.
Yes. Are we allowed? I guess we're allowed to go in. I've always wondered what this was. Those stairs are steep. Oh wow, what is this? Well, so first thing, so I've always been able to see this grate. You can see it from like the riverbanks, and I've always wondered what it was. I thought like it was like an old cannon emplacement. I was wrong. And that's, yeah, that's, what is that? Whoa. So it says, here lies an unknown deportee. So somebody who was deported. This is how we exit. I can't believe I didn't even know that this was here. I thought it was just that little park. I didn't realize that this was down here. All right, well that took a turn. It was a really fun video with ice cream and St. Louis, and all right. Definitely recommend you come check it out though if you've never been here before.
There's nothing here.
We should be able to, hopefully we can exit this way. Well, we can just literally step over this rope.
I didn't know about you.
Notre Dame's still under construction, for those of you that are curious, and will be for the foreseeable future. They're just working on taking down the scaffolding, which is amazing to see, and risky, very risky business, trying to get the burned scaffolding, the stuff that was already up when the fire happened, taken down. And what I want to see on the front half is supposedly they're doing a demonstration of like medieval building methods that could be really interesting. So we'll walk around the front, check that out, and then show you a couple more things. It's cool that they've put the different doors in the front here though, so you can kind of study those a little bit. You can see what's going on, and they have some explanations over here, which are nice. So there's some good education that's going on with this for sure. So across the street from Notre Dame is the prefecture, which you probably heard me talk about because it is miserable. One of the cool things about the prefecture is during the liberation of Paris, there were some battles fought here. You can actually see black and white footage on YouTube. I'll try to find a link to put below of like some fighting that was done in this area. But the prefecture is also where I'll be going soon to renew my visa in the not too distant future. And this is the line forward to, apparently. Oh boy, and it's always bad, but this is like definitely twice as bad or 3 times worse than I've ever seen it. This is insane. And they're trying to keep people away, I know, as well, because of COVID concerns, so chaos. Anyways, that's the prefecture. If you hear me talking about it, it's a police station, and this is the central police station for the city. They deal with immigration stuff. Over here, we'll go see the Palais de Justice, which is where the kings of France lived for a while, and next to it is the Conciergerie, but those are across the street, so actually, we're not gonna look at those because they're for a future quartier. But then over here is Napoleon's flower market, which looks mildly open, so we can go see if there is anybody selling flowers. And on weekends, I think on Sundays specifically, it turns into a bird market. So if you wanted to come see some fancy birds and buy one off the street, this would be the place to do it. And last thing that you'll see on this square is Hôtel Dieu, which is the longest operating hospital in human history as far as we know. It's been in operation since the 7th century, but it's been in operation for like over 1,000 years, which is bananas. And it is also right next to Notre Dame. So anytime you're at Notre Dame, you'll see the hospital. And it's still a hospital. They still have people in there. Oh, look at that. You can buy a vine for 35 euros.
That makes great.
Ready to be hard. Those are a little bit overripe now, but I completely forgot that I was going to explain the rive droite, rive gauche situation, the left bank and right bank, which I think it just said in inverted order in English. But first I'm going to thank today's patron producer of the day, Barbara Chu. Barbara, thanks for joining. You're my most recent patron. It's kind of what I've fallen into this week and decided to stick with. I'll get back to the randomized patron producers next week, but thanks, Barbara, for jumping on. And tomorrow is going to be whoever's the newest after you, so I hope that there's somebody new to thank. In the meantime, rive droite and rive gauche, the left bank, right bank thing, is determined by the flow of the river. So the direction that a river in any French town is flowing, you'll see right bank, left bank, and I know they have it in Rouen, so I think it's a fairly common thing, and it's about the direction of flow. So in English, at least, I would tend to think like north side, south side would make more sense, but the way that they think about it is the direction of flow. So if you're flowing down the river, you're headed down river. Assuming you're facing down river, the left bank is on your left and the right bank is on your right. So it flows on the right side or the left side of the river. We currently are rive centre. We're not on either one, but the river did manage to act as our border today, and it was lovely, and I'm really glad we got to walk around. I definitely did not expect to stumble into so many fun things today, and I also have never been to that memorial, and I highly recommend that you go to it if you come. It was pretty powerful, which I think most of the memorials from World War II really are. But that one, I can't believe I've never been to it before. I felt like I was saving it, but I just thought it was that tiny little park. So I was like, oh, I'll just walk in there sometime. Thanks for joining me for that. Thanks to Sam for coming along. Appreciate having you here with me, buddy. And we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for yet one more wander for the first 5 quartiers of Paris that I'm doing in the 80 and 8.
It's like when Casey Neistat came to Paris, but all the time. It's great.
But all the time, never stops.